Welcome to Thedtalk's podcast. I'm Dr. Jimmy Chrismon, your host, and this is your ultimate destination for theater education, for theater teachers and theater education students like you. Join me as we bring you heartwarming stories, interviews, and valuable insights to renew your faith in teaching and enhance your theater classroom practice. Our guests include experienced K-12 theater teachers, current theater education majors, teaching artists, and esteemed theater education professors from all around the world. Prepare to be inspired by innovative teaching techniques, shared triumphs and struggles, and a wealth of resources to elevate your classroom. So grab a cup of coffee or your glass of wine, relax, and let's delve into heartwarming conversations and practical advice to enhance your theater classroom. Well, I'm so excited to welcome back to the podcast Deb Baldwin from season 3. She has been busy for the last couple of years, and I'd love to hear from you, Deb. What's been going on? Because you've also got a book you're going to talk about today too.
Well, thanks, Jimmy, for having me on. I have been busy, but I think most theater artists are. We're the productive type. You know, we don't sit still. Grass doesn't grow on our feet very much. But yeah, I've been really busy with my store, Mama Speaks, through Teachers Pay Teachers, and it's really big now. And I have like over 400 products.
Fantastic.
And thousands of teachers all over the world are purchasing materials from me. Primarily, it's supplemental, and that's the way I want it. I don't want to be trying to imply that I'm going to give you an entire curriculum, because that's not what I'm there for. There are people that do that and companies that do that, but I don't need to do that. So my Teachers Pay Teachers store is going well. I have a really active blog now on Drama Mama Speaks, and I hear from teachers almost daily for help, asking for help. The one that theater teachers would love the most is someone came to me recently in an email and said, well, I went in to interview for a science job, but I'm really a math teacher, and they gave me drama, and I know nothing about it. I'm like, what? Well, first I'm like in shock, right? So I'm like, what? And she's like, but I bet I could teach it. I thought, okay, well, no offense, with all due respect, it's kind of not like that. It's just not. That would be like asking me to teach art. I could maybe do it, but it's just not. Although, here's another way. I couldn't teach math. I'm not a mathematician. I'm not a person who could teach math. So I was so tickled, but I think she must have survived, because I didn't hear all year. But I do hear from people quite a bit, especially now, that are panic-stricken, and they've been offered or given a job or offered the job, and they were given the opportunity to teach one theater class. So they took it, because at least it's one theater class. And a lot of us started that way. Mm-hmm. When I first began teaching, theater was barely offered. And so there were not a lot of jobs for a person like me. And most of them were in high school. But, now we even have people that are teaching elementary students about theater in various states. I wish everybody taught theater to everybody everywhere, but I can't control that. But recently, I just finished a book called We're Live, Radio Theater 101. And I have wanted to publish this book for probably 20 years. And I just kept putting it off and thinking, it just will take too much time, too much detail. It was butter. It was so fun just to sit down and prepare. It still took me, over a year to get all the information together and all the links together, all the PDFs together, the entire unit that's part of it. But it's been such fun. And now people are starting to pick it up. And I'm thrilled to see that it's getting positive reviews and people are excited about using this in their class. And so that's what I've been doing.
Well, you've been busy, and I didn't expect anything less. But so talk to me a little bit about why this book.
I have a lot of background in theater, and I taught for like 38 years and directed for 38 years, and I performed for more than that. And I wanted to tell people about radio theater because I understand everyone's having trouble in middle school and high school engaging these students. And I knew for a fact, because I'd had experience with it, that if you use radio theater in any classroom, obviously, we're not going to do it in physical education, but I guess we could. But most classrooms, or your core classes, could use radio theater to teach a concept, a piece of history, a moment in time, and it works beautifully, and all the kids are engaged, and there's reasons that happens. And I thought, I need to tell people about this. And I'm glad I did, because there is no book that's about drama integration through radio theater and using it as a tool to engage kids. Or if you're a drama teacher, just use it with your own students. And, point blank, that will work for you too. And I just accumulated all the information I had and everything I've ever done. And I wanted to put it into a book. And so it started out as just this little thing. And it's up to nearly 200 pages. I was like, oh, all that's been running around in my head. But the end of the book is a 3-week radio theater unit that anybody in middle school or high school could use to teach radio theater. And it's part of the book. If you would go to my store, it would cost a lot of the price of the book. So you get a lot better deal if you buy the book. I've now taught myself in the book. But, there's 10 chapters, as you know. There's warm-ups. There's amplification. My husband was an instrumental music teacher, so he understands how to set up the microphones, how to set up your speakers. And so he did that chapter for me to make sure we got it right for everybody. But I have put in publishers and rationale and a short history of radio theater, short history of sound effects. I think that's important. There's a do-it-yourself little part of the book that's making your own live sound effects and equipment. There are live links that take you and let the kids see what it looks like, hear it, and then dive into it, study it. It's really whatever you need it to be. And I also wanted a part where they could reflect. The teachers could look back on what they did that day and go, okay, did that warm-up work? And why didn't it work? Or why did it work? And how would I use it again? And so in each chapter has a reflection page or two with particular questions that I thought people might want to consider. And that in a nutshell is what it is. And I just thought maybe it would help people engage their students. And I know for a fact that it works. I know that this works with children or students with learning challenges. I know it works with reluctant kids a lot because it's non-threatening. We don't have to stand up there and memorize lines and feel very vulnerable. We're standing with other friends in a line. We maybe have a script. We have a script in our hand for sure. It gives them a chance to try it out, put their toe in, see if they like theater, or maybe they want to be part of the sound effects crew, or maybe they want to be in charge of the music. See, there's a place for everybody. We just need to find the place and then help them, encourage them to look into it more for themselves. So that's kind of why I did it.
Well, and still with the raised stakes of performance.
Oh, yes, because the performance is a part of it. There is a chapter on directing radio theater because, in my opinion, it's much different than producing a play. One reason is I use floor direction. So I was taught by people who directed on the floor to cue me when I said my lines or how the scene's going to end with a cut or, step away from the microphone or enunciation or slow down. And so there is a chapter devoted just to how to direct it, how to set up the stage if you're going to direct radio theater. If you plan to be on stage, I would suggest that's where you go because you're going to get a better quality. I think of it like, think of choir directors, band directors, orchestra conductors. They stand in front of their group and they conduct them. And the product is so much better. And I think that's really important with novices to see, oh, this is exciting. Whereas if you sit off in the house and you just watch it, it could be excruciating. It could be really painful, to just watch them kind of struggle through it. Well, why struggle? We don't need to struggle. This is drama education. Obviously, if you wanted to produce a play, you could, radio theater, you could do that. And maybe at that point, if you rehearsed for several weeks, you would be able to sit out in the house. But from a teacher's point of view, standing on stage and directing the students is much better. It's just much better. Have you ever done that yourself?
Radio plays?
Yes.
I have, and I love them. I think
Mhm.
they're a very underrated and underappreciated part of
Mhm.
our art form that we do. And I think I don't thank COVID for many things, but I do think COVID kind of brought this back into our frame of mind, and this is a viable art form as well. I think I featured I think maybe even during your season, if I'm not mistaken, a high school here in Illinois did a radio play when they were still online and not in their school, and they recorded it and had permission for me to release it as an episode, so it's out there. But I used it all the time in my intro classes. As part of a voice unit, as part of
Mhm.
a tech theater unit, and
Yeah.
I would have them create all the sound effects with their voices, and
Right.
they couldn't use any found objects or
Right.
electronic sound effects. It had to come from them.
Right.
So yeah, I think it's a fantastic book, by the way.
Oh,
Because
thank you.
Deb sent me a copy, and I've got to go through it, and it's thorough, but it's very accessible too, and it's very down to earth. And this is the information you need. This is the background information. This is the tech stuff about the audio specs and things with the pictures and the diagrams and just the breaking it down of this is why you do it this way and this is how to get the best sound, all the way to the unit plan at the end with assessments. Like, it's thorough. It's just a really solid, good book. If teachers are very interested in this and don't know much about it, or just want a refresher of some of these things that we may not even think about.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, thank you. That's so kind of you, because I thought I wanted to make sure, well, I just gave them everything that's in my brain. I thought, I don't want anybody to sit there and go, yes, but she didn't cover, but I did. So I want someone to be able to walk in on the first day of class and their classes, and they've read the book the night before, and they say, okay, here we go. We're going to take her unit at the end, and I purchased a script, which they can purchase from me, or there's a variety of places to get scripts, and we're going to start in and we're going to do this. Language arts teachers use them, reading teachers, social studies, American history could use it. Even music teachers could use it if they wanted to teach about composers or time periods. It's a plethora of classes who could use this. And I don't want people to think, oh, it's just theater. Mm-hmm. Actually, I would almost say it's less needed for them than it is for everybody else. Well, you and I know that arts integration is so important, and drama is one of the easiest to do. Yep. And kids don't even know. They don't realize they're performing. So because I worked with a school in Columbia, Missouri, and I taught a pre-elective, that means I had every student. So in a year, I saw 400. And every 25 days, I had new students in my class, and my whole team was this way. Because I did that, I had the time to go, okay, now this didn't work. Now, why didn't this work? Oh, I see. I just need to set it up better. I need to describe it better. I also put in the book teacher scripts. Lots of us don't know what to say when we start. Who does? It's like, okay, after get them quiet down, now what do I do? Maybe you know your hook, but you haven't gotten past that. Well, what if you don't even know what the hook would be for radio theater? Okay, well, I have given you hooks throughout the unit. I've also have a little chapter on teacher scripts and why they work and why they're so necessary. It does not mean we're sitting still and we're following a textbook and what's required of me by my school district. This is different. This is suggestions, not you must do this, but I would suggest that you start it in this fashion. It's going to be different than some young teachers know. They know a different procedure pattern. But my pattern works too, and it's a pattern I was taught on. So I know it works. And I lead off with warm-ups every single day. They are not improvisation. It's mostly short little games they could play in any class. You have to make sure that your that your ELL students can understand it because they might not speak English very well. So I made sure to include warm-ups that are physical, warm-ups that are vocal, or just the senses. I just tried as many different kinds as I could to help the teacher be as successful as they possibly could.
One of the things that jumped out at me as I was going through the book is, and I think it's around the section you were just talking about, the use of AI.
Yes. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Now, to me, that's tremendous, because a year ago, we didn't have AI. A year ago, we were we'll just do what we do, right? We're just taking care of it. And at first I thought, oh, AI, I don't want to use AI. Ugh. Well, then I went, wait a minute. Let's go see what it can do for me. Well, I've used it in many ways, primarily to build outlines for blog posts, build product descriptions, that sort of thing. It's a lot of help because, after you've done so many and you do this every day, your brain I can't think of one more way to say this. So that's when I ran onto AI. And then I said, I wonder if I could use it to make short radio plays. So in that particular chapter, I put together 3 examples: language arts and science and social studies and American history. And I said, okay, AI, let's do this. So I gave them how many characters. I said how long it needed to be. I gave them the concept they needed to work on, just a little bit, right? So let's just see what it does. Oh, that was pretty good. Okay, that line's completely dumb. We can't use that one. So then I would go back and I would try it again. And I'm telling you, in about 15 minutes, I had a decent enough script that I could take in. If I was a teacher teaching math tomorrow with that concept, I could take it into my math class tomorrow. I could set this up and we can do a radio play on that concept and the kids will get it just like that. And that's thanks to AI. That's all I need it for. It's just a tool that I use. And that's how people should use it, is as a tool. But we didn't have that a year ago, did we?
No, and when we got it, then there's still a bit of a backlash to it in our creative world of, this is not good, this is bad for us. It's a tool. Like you said, it's a tool to streamline our work.
Right.
Get us going on thoughts. Like, this is kind of what I want to say. This is where I'm at. Help me here. And it just enough to get me going. Right.
Just to get you going. I agree.
And that's something that I think is here. And we can't run from it. We can't hide from it. It's just like our phones. And our phones are still the bane of our existence as teachers, but they're there, they're real. How are we going to harness it? How are we going to use it? How are we going to teach our kids how to use it properly?
Right.
Right?
Exactly. And I think people don't like change. I'm one of those that I enjoy change, which is kind of interesting because I'm in my 60s and most people in their 60s are this is what I'm going to do now. I'm retired. Well, I'm not put together that way. And I'm an artist. So I can be an artist way until I just can't be anymore. So for me, having another avenue to use, a new tool to use, was hugely exciting. I was like, really? So I'm telling my husband, look at this. I can do X, Y, and Z, and then I'll get this to happen like this. I said, now watch, I'm going to try it again. And then we'd watch it just unfold. It's just like anything. It's going to make mistakes, and you're not going to say quite what you mean. I just went through that yesterday on something. I thought, boy, I am not saying this well. Let's try this again. And it was trying to help me write a product description or a Pinterest description. But it's worth a try. It's worth attempting for a particular concept in your classroom. I'm telling you, if you will try radio theater, you will not believe the changes in your students. Especially you're going to become confident before you begin. So you're going to have gone through the chapters before, and you've got that up in your head. And you can also just remind yourself by going back to a certain chapter, that's even the warm-ups, and look at them again and say, okay, we're going to use this one today to warm up before we do this radio play. And the kids will be like, what are we doing? This is math? We've never done math this way. Well, folks, that's drama integration. That's all that is, and it's so clever. I think some people resent it.
Well, Deb, talk to me about the response to the book.
Well, the book has not been out very long, and it had an arduous beginning. I mean, we won't even go into that. I'm here to say I lived through it. That's all I can tell you. But the book publishing happened probably in May. And I just have barely gotten out there and shown it to people, or people have said, well, I'm interested in this book, and it's very favorable. And I have another podcast coming out interview pretty soon. And I know something like this, it just takes a while for it to get going. In my store online, I have celebrity biographies of Broadway actors and actresses. And it took that a long time for people to figure out how to use it in their classroom. And once they realized, oh, she's got like 25 of these on people like, Viola Spolin, Viola Davis, and Denzel Washington, and Cynthia Erivo, and Lin-Manuel Miranda. And they're just little short biographies that the students would read, probably in middle school. And at first people struggled. How do I use this? I kind of went with them. And we finally figured out this is really good when you need an emergency subplan, because everything is there you need. And you can give this to drama kids. When do we have anything for theater that a substitute can do? Like, the kids can stop whatever they're doing until I'm back in a day. It comes with links and so forth. Well, now, a year later, now it's rolling. So I figure this will be the same way. And good people like you come along and say, sure, I'd love to talk about it. And that helps too. But it's been very favorable. Yeah.
Hey, Thed Talks listener. Yeah, you. Thank you for listening. Really, thank you. It's because of listeners like you that this podcast exists and continues to bring you heartwarming stories and help you and many other theater teachers feel a little less alone in your practice. Thed Talks is listened to in 78 countries and continues to grow with every episode. Here's the thing. I need your support to continue spreading the joy of theater education. So I have a few requests for you. First, subscribe to Thed Talks podcast on your favorite podcast provider, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any other platform. Hit that subscribe button to stay updated with our latest episodes. Second, I encourage you to rate the podcast. Your feedback is crucial in helping us improve and reach more theater enthusiasts like yourself. Your rating will help others discover the podcast and benefit from the insights shared. Lastly, I invite you to leave a review. Share your thoughts, experiences, and how Thed Talks podcast has enriched your teaching practice. Your review will not only inspire others to listen, but also help build a community of passionate theater educators. So let's come together and celebrate the transformative power of theater education. Subscribe, rate, and leave a review for Thed Talks podcast today. Well, I know you and I haven't fleshed it out fully, but I'm going to go ahead and plug it here in the episode that we've got a book giveaway, and I want to drive people to my social media to find out how to get a copy of that. And Deb will work with you to make that happen. But if you're listening, go visit my social media, Thed Talks podcast, and find out how you can enter to get a copy of Deb's new book. We're live, Radio Theater 101.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I hope they do.
Well, Deb, where else can they find your work?
Right now, if you mean all of my materials, I have my store called Drama Mama Speaks on T-shirts by Teachers. I also have a store in Made by Teachers with some products. I also have one on PayHip because some school districts will not let anybody buy from particular storefronts. Not me, but the platform. And so I'm trying to really broaden that. I'm also I have a blog. I'm on Instagram. The blog and Instagram are through Drama Mama Speaks. And Mama Speaks is spelled differently, but once you see it, you'll love it. And then my daughters used to call me Mama, which is Momma is the way they spelled it. And that's why I've called it Drama Mama Speaks. And they still call me Mama. But, I'm out there everywhere you'd want to go. If you were looking for maybe a set design for middle school kids, I have that. Of course, I have radio theater. I have multicultural readers theater scripts. I have multicultural one-act plays for the classroom. Like if you wanted to use it, maybe you're studying the Inca. I have a script that's an Inca folktale. They can learn about it that way because I'm always about drama integration. Or if you want legit theater, I have acting styles that a gentleman and I worked on to make it pretty palatable for like a 9th to 10th grader. So all the biggies, there's 3 biggies in there that everybody would know. And my Stanislavski's in there and so forth. So, name it, I make it. I have posters. I have pendants. I have oh gosh, I don't even know how much I have right now, Jimmy.
You've got a lot going on out there.
It's a lot. And bundles. People can come to me and say, hey, I want this bundle of things. They want it customized. And so I said, well, sure, just give me a list and I'll make you your own bundle and I'll give you a deep discount. That's not a problem. Because most of us in this world are not here, those of us in theater and teachers especially, we are not here to just rip people off. We just aren't. And it's so nice when I ran onto a company today like that and said to my husband, isn't that refreshing that these young women who have a rebounder are not trying to rip you off and push you to buy something that you don't want to buy, that you're just looking into. Well, I think educators are the same way. I think we're saying, hey, I have something that I can provide to you, either through my knowledge or my training, or perhaps a book I've written. And I'm here to help you and encourage you to reach farther than you thought you could. And that's the same thing with teachers. I challenge them through the book. You can do this. Why can't you do this? Of course you can learn. So the people that have read it or are reading it said, I've never taught radio theater before. This is so cool. Oh, I can't wait to finish this. Well, great. That's what we want,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, teachers, please check out all of Deb's work, dramamamaspeaks.com. I know this book is on Amazon, paperback, hardback, and Kindle. So if you want to support Deb and want to bypass a giveaway, go for it and buy yourself a copy. I highly recommend it. Deb, we're going to have all your links on this episode page when it comes out, so teachers can go directly to those places and check out what you've got going on.
Well, I hope so. I hope to see them. And another thing I'd like to tell people, Jimmy, is they are more than welcome to email me with a question. You don't need to go through a Facebook group or go make some fancy letter to me. Who does that anymore? You can just email me and I'll do my best to try to help you. I help community theater groups. I've helped church groups. I helped some homeschool boys that wanted to use one of my scripts for a project they were doing. If you came up to me at a grocery store and said you need my help, well, I would help you there. It's the same way. It's whatever you're needing, and it has to do with theater. Well, and I'm all about it. So, yeah.
Well, and I've known this since we met a couple years ago. You've got a teacher's heart, and you just want to get more people doing this work, and you want to help them. So, teachers, please check it out. Deb is very good at responding to emails. I know personally. So just if you've got questions, if you've got ideas and suggestions, I know she's open to those. So Deb, thank you for this. I really hope teachers check this out. It's a fantastic resource to put in their library.
Thank you. Thank you so much for saying that. It's very kind.
Thank you so much for joining us today on Thedtalk's podcast. I hope you enjoyed this week's conversation and practical advice from my incredible guest.